on the article I saw. So back then they were saying like, okay, you got to get on these creek channel intersections, and then you put marker buoys out on the drop off, and then you get on the drop off and you jig the jigging spoon vertical over these drop offs, where you got your jigging spoon. So anyway, I'm out there, so I get a paper map. I've got a geographical paper map, and I go back into the back end of Horse Creek at Grand Lake. And they didn't say anything in the article about water visibility. So I get back in there. Water visibility is about a foot. The water temperature is probably 45 degrees. And I find a little drop off. There's like a creek channel drop off, which wasn't much because, back then hold on a sec, guys. I got to get this call. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I had to get a phone call real quick. But anyway, what I was saying was I went back into Horse Creek, and I was trying to do everything they said in the article. So I found this little drop off, and Grand Lake doesn't have many drop offs in it, but it's so old, most of them are silted in. So the water is like 15 or 20 foot deep on this little bitty drop off. And I get my jigging spoon out there, and I start putting the marker buoys down. I went back and forth with my little, I had one depth finder on the front of the boat. So I went back and forth on this drop off with the trolling motor, and put a couple marker buoys down and started jigging a spoon, on this spot. And of course I didn't catch anything because the water was a foot visibility and 45 degrees, and there were just, it was like, I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I was clueless to what I was doing, but I thought from reading this magazine article that that's the way you do it, and you're going to go out and catch fish, and it never happened. So this is a prime example about what I'm talking about as far as when you think you're doing everything right and you get all this information from YouTube and nothing works. So let's get into what you can do and how you can discern this type of information. Now, first of all, you have to be really, really selective about the content you choose to absorb on YouTube or social media when it comes to fishing information, because guys, there's a lot of guys out there that have bass fishing YouTube videos that don't know what they're doing. They're just regurgitating information that they've heard, and the reason that doesn't work a lot of times is they leave out all the gaps. They'll talk about a technique, but they don't talk about the variables surrounding those techniques in terms of things that may or may not work and how everything's got to come together to make something work. They'll just offer like a generic piece of tips and information on bass fishing, and they think it covers all the bases. You may have an article about how to fish a square bill crankbait, or how to flip a jig, or how to throw an Alabama rig, and they give you bits and pieces of information that